Ladies and gentlemen, there's more details on this story, and this does not look good for the Tuohy family at all. Ladies and gentlemen, when Michael was under their roof, he was like a foster child. He was part of the foster care system. And it's not unusual for a family to adopt a foster child. And just this part of the story is a serious conflict of interest. The Tuohys had an attorney that they called Debbie. Aunt Debbie. Usually, now I want y'all to follow me on this. When you go to court, the plaintiff have their attorney, the defendant, they have their own attorney. Everybody got their own separate attorney. Well, when it came down to this alleged adoption that Michael thought he was getting into, Aunt Debbie represented the Tuohy family and represented Michael. That is a conflict of interest. The same attorney cannot represent on the plaintiff side and the defendant side, and then you're in court and that attorney is fighting both sides, that one attorney. That's a conflict of interest. You can't do that. Well, that happened in this case. Now, some of y'all are blaming Michael. Michael was 18 at that time. How many of you, when you were 18, were experts at the law? This family wanted to adopt him. I'm sure he felt like he could trust these people. He was living under their roof, and they screwed him over. I mean, this looks worse for the Tuohys at the end of the day. So, my life story of Michael Oher, a ward of the foster care system, being adopted by a family in Tennessee who set him on the path to the NFL stardom, seems too good to be true. And it was. And we're finding out the entire blindside story is a bunch of BS. Okay. But the story was supposed to be based on Michael's life. So there was a new petition filed in probate court on Monday that alleged that the story was too good to be true. So, according to this 14-page petition to terminate the conservatorship, this was filed through Michael's counsel, and it alleged that the family purported to him that he was adopted. And apparently, this Aunt Debbie that presented the papers to him, she was the attorney, right? Presented the papers to him as adoption papers. So that just goes to show you their attorney was in on this whole fraud as well, because this is fraud. Okay, they committed a fraud in order to get him to sign those papers, and the attorney was in on the fraud. So Sean and Lee and Tuohy never adopted Michael, which he found out earlier this year. Instead, he signed a document naming them as conservators. So the petition further alleges that the conservatorship gave the Tuohys the ability to make millions of dollars in royalties from the movie, while Michael never saw a dime. And apparently, there were other contracts signed using Michael's name. So this apparently is going deeper than just a movie and a book. It went a lot further than that. So the petition alleges what Oher is seeking and what happens next. So, as noted above, the council filed a 14-page petition in the Shelby County, Tennessee court. And at the outset, the petition alleges that the Tuohy took no legal action in juvenile court to assume legal custody of Michael, a ward of the state. So if he was a ward of the state, y'all, he was part of the foster care system. The petition further alleges that shortly after Oher moved into the family home, they presented him with what he understood to be legal papers that were necessary, the necessary step in the adoption process. Michael trusted the Tuohys and signed, believing that they would become his adoptive parents. And they told him where to sign on the paper. However, the petition alleges that Oher signed what he signed were not adoption papers at all. The petition for appointment of conservators, which was filed in probate court for Shelby County, and the papers, because he got the actual papers, and the papers are dated August 9th, 2004. So he turned 18 at the end of May. So counsel of record in the matter was listed as Deborah Brannon. And the petition asserts that Brannon was so close with the Tuohy family that Michael was encouraged to refer to her as Aunt Debbie. Hmm. So the petition for appointment gave the Tuohys all power of attorney to act on his behalf. So they not only can act when it comes down to contracts, they can act when it comes down to college, education, medical. I mean, virtually everything. So he entered into the contract or bind himself without directly knowing that they would become his conservators and not adoptive parents. So apparently, Aunt Debbie and the Tuohys presented the papers as adoption papers, which means they committed a fraud in order for him to sign those papers. And Aunt Debbie, by the way, is a lawyer. So they misled him on purpose. And you're not supposed to fraudulently present any kind of contract to a person and you give them falsehoods and make them believe certain things before they sign on the dotted line. And that's what they did to him. Despite the fact that Oher was over the age of 18 at the time and, as noted, ordered granted for petition for appointment. Oher has no physical or psychological disabilities. So, what they're saying is this conveyorship really should never have happened because he didn't have any kind of disability that would keep him from applying for college, applying for a driver's license, getting medical attention. He didn't have any type of disability. So there was no justifiable reason for them to present these papers in the first place. So a lot of times when people enter these conveyor ships, something is wrong. Like Britney Spears, there were some psychological issues there. So her family got her to do the conveyor ship. Well, in Michael's case, there was no physical or psychological disability. So there was really no justifiable reason to enter this type of petition in the first place. And there's really no justifiable reason for having it for 19 years. Now, the Tuohys are trying to say they did it to help him get into college, help him get his driver's license, and just help him with, contracts and certain things. But people get driver's license and apply for college every day in this country without doing a conveyor ship. That's not really justifiable reasons that they're giving. So, according to Oher's petition to terminate, he was saying that he was falsely advised, by Aunt Debbie and the Tuohys, that because he was over the age of 18, that the legal action to adopt Michael would have been called a conveyorship, a conservatorship. That is false. That is false. Because he's over the age of 18, it would not be called an adoption. That is false. So they lied and deceived him into signing these papers. So the Tuohy family has long maintained that they adopted Oher, including on the family's website as well. So apparently on their website, they had that they adopted him, and they never adopted him at all. That's why I'm saying I believe they did deceive him, and I believe they kept that deception of being adopted going for years. So they even had on their website that they adopted him, and this was a family website for their charity. So according to Ower's petition to terminate, that bedrock that the family adopted Oher, allowing the family to enrich themselves at Oher's expense. So that's what he has in his petition. Wow. That is jacked up what they did to him. The petition to terminate also alleges that for themselves and the natural born children, a contract at the price of $225,000 plus 2.5% of all future defined net proceeds. So they intend on profiting off of him forever. If he didn't call them out on this, they would still be using him. Now, not only are the parents going to make money, but their offspring, natural biological children, are going to profit off of Michael as well. This is unbelievable. It looks to me that the Tuohy family and their attorney, Aunt Debbie, are a bunch of con artists. They are a bunch of con artists. Wow. So his petition to terminate also included a life story right agreement in which he signs away to Fox without any compensation of any kind. The perpetual, unconditional, and exclusive right throughout the world to use his portrait his likeness, his name, his voice, his appearance, personality, personal experience, any type of situation that he gets in, they can take that, use it, and profit off of it. So when this conveyor ship is broken, the family and their offspring can no longer profit off of him as they have been. They can't do it anymore. Talking about they're hurt and disappointed. Got some damn nerve. Y'all, this is a mess. This is an absolute mess. So, what happens next? We don't know. Now, the Tuohys did agree to end the conservatorship. They did agree to end it, but it still don't explain why they held on to it for 19 years. That's very excessive, especially, like I said, for a person that did not have psychological or physical disabilities where they might need help in life. He didn't have any of those things. So there is literally no justifiable reason for them to hang on to this thing for 19 years, and would have done it beyond that if he didn't call it out. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this update. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.